let's take a look at Peacemaker. So, hacks a single enemy at long range every 45 seconds. Hacked enemies have 130% of their attack speed and target their allies for 5 seconds. Then your character regularly shoots 3 rockets, each dealing a 40% of your DPS value. So we did talk about this last week, but sadly it's had a bit of a reduction. And so last week he did 3 rockets doing 66% of his value, which equaled the same as flak. Then the hack targeted launchers and mortars and prioritized them. And that was half decent. But what happened was it caused some pathing problems. When the mortars or the launchers were at a long distance away, it meant that the bot started walking off trying to find those targets. Then they tried to instill something that didn't really prioritize them. If they were outside that range, it would only hit them if it was in range, and if not, it would hit a closer target. And this got really confusing for the developers to try and get that right. And so they decided that instead of all that, they're just going to hack a single enemy at long range. Now, at the minute, it is hacking the closest defense, but they have said they're going to slightly tweak it so it hacks a defense outside of that range. So let's take a look at it in battle, and then we can make a bit more of a judgment. Okay, so we've put the new combat on gears, and then we've obviously got Wheeljack behind him. So let's drop gears down. Now watch out for the hack. So as we drop it down, then we drop Wheeljack. So the nearest defense is the shock tower. What it's going to do is it's going to avoid the MDS and the shock tower because they can't be hacked. So it's going to avoid them, which is pretty cool. And see now it has hacked the turret. So it's not actually doing anything right now. It was earlier, so I don't have to change anything behind the scenes. But it was hacking earlier. And there we go. Let's give that another try, because it was actually working earlier, to be fair to them. I think it might be slightly bugged still. I was doing a bit of testing with the MDS as well, but... Okay, let's try again. Put gears down, put Wheeljack down. Let's zoom in. So you can see there's the hack. Why is it not hacking? There we go, it is working now. So I'm sure that will be fixed in time. You can see there it's doing damage to the shock tower. And then you go, you can see there it's about 80% of the shock tower's health off. So now it's throwing those 3 rockets. See, it's doing damage in an area. But just waiting for the next hack to come in. Still waiting. I'm sure it's been about a minute and a half now without a second hack. So when I first got this block out, so I'm starting the battle and you can watch a minute. So when we first got this bot, it did one hack, which you can see here at the beginning of the battle, then didn't do another hack for the rest of it. And the playtester sort of said, listen, this is not good enough. We can't just do one hack and that is it. And so they came back and said, okay, we're going to hack it every 45 seconds. It's still bugged, we can see, but it's going to hack every 45 seconds. For me, that's still not enough. Every 45 seconds is not great. Now, secondary, I said last week that it was interesting because it was basically flak with an extra hack. And I was quite happy with that because I always comment saying that new content needs to be better than old content. And so they took flak and give it that bit extra to make it better. Brilliant. I'm all for that. But then Fabian Sidley came back and said, well, no, we can't do that because flak's USP is unique selling point is that it does high damage and has 5 rockets that does 200% of his DPS or thereabouts. And so they reduce the damage that the combat actually does. And so now it only does 120% of the DPS rather than 195 to equal flak, which is a bit disappointing, really. And so we've still got flak that is 3-4 years old content that does more damage than this brand new combat. Now, granted, yes, this one does have the hack, but every 45 seconds, the amount of DPS that it gives you is not more compared to flak. Now, the things you have to consider as well is when you're comparing it to other combats like Nightstick and other decent combats, is that you can see there that if you watch the spread of the bullets, that it doesn't actually always hit the target it's aiming for. And sometimes it hits a wall or goes off to the side. And so it's quite inconsistent in damage as well. And so it does less damage than flak. Is because it only goes 3 grenades rather than 5. It does less damage than flak again because of inconsistency. The hack is once every 45 seconds when it works, but it doesn't really prioritize a decent defense all the time. It could be a turret, it could be a cannon, and it only hacks it for a short limit of time. And I think at best, once it hacks it, you're lucky if it takes out one defense. And so I feel like the hack should prioritize beam lasers or something, or keep it as it is, but increase the hack to like every 30 seconds or something. I just feel like it's not quite enough right now. I feel like there's more to be done. Now, the main problem with Peacemaker is that when the apes are balancing this content, they go for spreadsheet and they look at it compared to other content and they try and look at it in a sort of pragmatic way, but really not actually utilizing it in game. And when I sort of speak about the developers behind the scenes not playing the game, this kind of shows that is that they have a limit. And for me, it seems like when they brought out the old style combats years ago, they pushed them to the limits of where they wanted the game to go, which is, let's just say it's there for argument's sakes. And now they've hit that ceiling and going, right, well, every bit of content we ever make is going to hit that ceiling. It's not going above that ceiling. And you've got to think that when these combats came out, it was probably HQ 16, 17, and these combats were absolutely amazing. As the game's gone on to HQ 18, yes, we've had better bots, but the combats have not really evolved really into something amazing and better. And so we need to start pushing these boundaries. But because they don't play the game, because they don't understand how the game works and how this new content relates to old content, sadly the new content is always going to really fall short because they're still hitting that heights of the amount of damage it can do. And until they realise that, that their spreadsheet doesn't work, and that instead of their spreadsheet, they need to go and have a feel for the bot and see what it does, compare it to other content. That is what they need to do. Oh, and Scorpio X Factor, good to see you. Thank you. Thanks for the tip. Appreciate it. And so I just feel like they need to push some boundaries in this new content. Stop being so cautious. HU19 is around the corner. We're going to need some more powerful bots and combats. Let's push the content on.